Welcome back to the Puck and Ball podcast. I'm Evan. Michael and Miles join me again. No Matt today. He's getting a long start on the Thanksgiving weekend, so happy Thanksgiving to all of you guys. There's a little feud within the Puck and Ball um, family. We'll call it a family, I guess.
Yeah.
Organization terminology.
Yeah.
Chiefs, Eagles, great game last night. Quarterbacks have been a very big topic of discussion for us in our group chat. Hours worth of debate. I'll let the guys take it away from here. Michael will say his point. Miles will say his point, and then I'll chime in and give you my viewpoint. So, Michael, go ahead and give us your viewpoint.
So I'm not sure. He doesn't have the numbers to win it, but the reason I picked Patrick Mahomes for MVP last week on the pod is because I don't think any other quarterback can even come close to leading a serviceable offense. I'm not going to say good offense because we all saw last night it's not a good offense. It's a pretty hard watch, but even a serviceable offense, nobody could do it besides Mahomes with the help that he has on that offense. I mean, we all saw last night. Nobody can catch. Not even like Kelsey could really catch. I know it was raining, but that happens like basically every game. They can't catch. The conditions like weren't the factor in that. And Kelsey obviously is an insane tight end, but he's getting old. He's still great, but he's not as good. And then outside of that, I mean, Tony has his drop problems. Rashee Rice had his problems, but he's getting better. Justin Watson, he had the stats last night, but he had a few. He also had like 3-4 drops. MVS, I mean, we don't even have to talk about that. And then I just think that their defense is great, and that's a big reason why they are good. But I don't think Jalen Hurts or Allen or any other quarterback can do what Mahomes does. I mean, he's really the most valuable player like on a team, I think.
All right, Miles, I can see you're visibly upset. Tell me why.
All right. Well, I somewhat agree with what you're saying, like that he makes that offense from like unwatchable to a division winner.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think there are a couple quarterbacks that could fill the position and still win that division. But I don't know how you could say that when I think they're mostly winning just because of their defense. Like last night, against the Eagles, their defense kept them in that game the whole time. Like they gave Mahomes every chance he needed to win that game, and he just couldn't get it done. And I feel like maybe if they're the best team in the NFL, you give it to him. But like you're saying, he's leading that offense, and like no one else can do it. But like he can't even do it really either. Like that offense like isn't even that good.
So when we were arguing about that, I was saying that their offense like is above average. But I get like watching last night, it really isn't. Like that's where I was wrong. There's only so much he could do is the problem. Like he just, I mean, he puts the ball in all the right spots. He makes all the plays he can, but the offensive line lets up a brutal amount of pass rushes and also holds a lot, which you saw Miles. I think they missed a lot of holding calls, and then like, I mean. This is a much different conversation if Kelsey doesn't fumble or MVS catches the ball. I know Mahomes had the red zone pick. That was a brutal throw. I mean, any quarterback, if he made that throw, it'd be pretty bad. But outside of that, he played a pretty great. He did as much as he can, and they just still couldn't win. I mean, that the weapons he has is just. I mean, it's crazy how bad they are.
So. Yeah. So I agree with Miles. I think you're absolutely crazy, Michael. I think the fact that they're 7-3 is 1,000% on the defense. That offense is completely middle of the pack, averaging just over 20 points per game. Defense is giving up 13 to 15 points per game.
I mean,
yeah,
like
if they have a middle of the pack, if they have a middle of the pack defense, they're 6-4, 5-5 in my opinion.
Yeah,
and then Mahomes is completely out. We're not even having close to this conversation.
I also think like since the defense is like their biggest part of their success right now, and like you look at the Eagles, like Jalen Hurts' case like got so much better last night, but like I think the Eagles they're like the biggest part of their team, and like what's like getting them all this success is their offense. It's not the defense. Like their defense.
Their secondary is
but
abysmal.
Here's the problem I have with that is just like I said, imagine Kelsey doesn't fumble and MVS catches that. We put so much like weight of the MVP race on just whether the team wins or loses, even though there's so many outside factors. Like Hurts, we can all agree, did not play a great game last night. Like he had the great ball to Devonta Smith, and obviously he has the oh wait, I'm frozen. He had the tush push weapon. But like he shouldn't have won that. Like the Chiefs really should have won that game. And
I would say
Mahomes would be, which I don't agree with either. If the Chiefs had won that game, then Mahomes would be like
But they
much
didn't
more
win.
favorite than he is. I know. I'm just saying, like Hurts, just because the Eagles, like it's every team has outside factors that are affecting their game. Even the Eagles, like with their terrible defense, because the Chiefs just like gave that game away. And also in terms of the Chiefs defense, I know they're doing the majority of the work, but a team isn't 7-3, or are they 7-3?
Yeah.
The team isn't 7-3 just solely because of one side of the ball. That's just not how it works. I mean, look at the Jets defense. Their offense is just brutal.
Yeah, but that
I know
you
that's a
can't
very
compare
extreme
that.
case, but same with the Chargers. I mean, their offense is great, but their defense is so bad that they're not good. I mean, it happens. So the Chiefs' offense at least is like serviceable enough to like you can't just be like absolutely terrible and not be doing anything and be at 7-3 even if you have a great defense.
Yeah, I mean, there's a great
Yeah.
chance we'll visit it. Go ahead. What you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I personally that game against the Chiefs definitely like boosted Hurts' argument, but I will say like I even like if MVS caught that ball and they ended up winning the game off of that, I do think I still would have Hurts as my MVP. So I don't think that game like played that much of a role in my decision.
It's fine.
But
Yeah, so that I mean, I respect that, but like I feel like just in terms of like the media, like it's
oh
just,
yeah,
100%.
definitely.
I mean, yeah, I mean that's why people are so down on Herbert because he doesn't win. But I mean, we also against the Packers, like there's nothing he could do. So that's just I think that's just a general thing, not just for this argument.
Yeah, let's put a bookmark in that. There's 1,000% chance we'll visit it later in the season. Let's go to our weekly thing, power rankings. Number 5, Michael. Who do you have?
So yeah, I mean, again, I feel like 1 through 4 is pretty solid, and then 5 is up for debate. So I have Dallas again. I mean, I had them last week, and then they took care of business against the Panthers. Pretty dominating win. I know the Panthers aren't good, but Dak still played great, and that team is still. You don't want to play them in the playoffs, in my opinion. Like they had their struggles in the beginning of the season, but they look great, and I mean, they play the Commanders next week, so they should dominate again.
Yeah, I got the Browns.
Oh my god! Oh my
I'm sorry,
god!
I
I thought you were
don't have the
joking when you
Dolphins.
said that.
I don't mind it.
I mean, I think like we've been holding off on putting them in our top 5 for too long. Like they're potentially 1 week away from being the first team in the number 1 team in the AFC, and I think their defense is elite, probably the best in the league, and they've shown that they can win with literally anyone at quarterback. Like Dorian Thompson-Robinson.
Dude.
What? Like
They beat the Steelers, and you're putting them there.
Steelers are a playoff team.
Oh my god!
I also want to say, like,
The
Browns,
Steelers had 90 yards at half. They had less
but
than 200 yards.
They're a playoff team.
the thing, like, if the Browns played the Chiefs in the playoffs, I low-key think the Browns would win. Because like what's the Chiefs offense gonna be able to do on the Browns defense?
Okay, it's going to be a 10-3 football game. Nobody's scoring in that game.
Like this
because
team,
the Browns aren't scoring.
But I
this
feel like
team like reminds me a little bit of like the 49ers last year, just like a lower tier of an offense. But like we saw last year, like there was an argument that like Brock Purdy just isn't a good quarterback and he could win with anyone around him, or like the 49ers could win with anyone at quarterback just because of what they have around him. I think this is a similar situation, and we're just not used to it because it's the Browns.
Mm-hmm.
I can't get on board with that. I can't.
All right.
Okay.
I think the Browns could beat any team.
I agree. I think
Any team.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they make the AFC Championship.
Oh my
If
god!
you just think about the AFC teams, like even the Dolphins,
Clip that.
Clip it. Please,
Clip it.
Please
I
clip
know.
it.
Clip it.
Please.
like think about like the Dolphins, like their offense is so explosive, but when they've played great defenses, they've been slowed down. So why can't the Browns do
Yeah.
the same?
I think the Browns would handle the Dolphins pretty easily.
The Browns
I
aren't
think they
scoring
just
on the Dolphins.
I mean,
Dolphins don't have like a
yeah.
particularly good defense, and
They do now.
The,
what do you
the
mean?
the Browns' run game is still really good, even without Nick Chubb. I mean, imagine if they had Nick Chubb too. Like
They Nick Chubb, they're like
they're winning the Super Bowl
yeah,
now.
yeah,
They're the best
they're
team
the
ever.
best
All
team
right,
ever.
back
Defense
on
is the
track.
best.
Yeah, it's great. Their defense is great. Five spot. I have the Chiefs. Um, I just I know drops is the type of thing that you can fix, but it's just too consistent of an issue. I don't. Mahomes' trust has been going down, in my opinion. I just don't know. We know it's not his fault all the time, but at some point he's going to have to make a play. He made that one good rushing play that we all talked about in our chat, but I don't know. I just don't.
With a hold.
Yeah, the hold. One of the 16 holds.
Yeah.
But I just don't really trust that offense. I don't see them putting up 25 points a game. I just don't. So, yeah. Michael, he had 4.
I have the Chiefs. Big drop for my Chiefs, but I mean, I just watching that game last night. I feel like my argument for the Chiefs has been, despite all their bad play, like when it comes playoff time, Mahomes is just going to take over the game, and that's why I had them so high. But if I now that I think about it, it's hard for me to picture a game, the Chiefs going on like a 3 or 4 straight game run where the receivers don't sell out Mahomes. Like it's gonna happen in the playoffs. I feel like their defense is gonna still be great, but I mean, you just can't trust them anymore. I still have them 4, so they're still in my top 5. But they were close to being the Eagles. We already talked about that, so it would be a different conversation. But I mean, it's hard to trust them, and there's only so much Mahomes could do.
Yeah, I got the Chiefs at 4. You guys pretty much said it all, but I kind of disagree that like I don't trust them in the playoffs at all because like I feel like
Also, do you go ahead? No, sorry.
I feel like the game against the Eagles is just like that's like the type of game as the Chiefs usually always come out and win. Like I saw the stat like Andy Reid is 18-0 or something when they like score first or something.
First.
Like,
Yeah.
And like they usually win all those games, like even if they're behind. But like this year, I just like if a team gets up early, I just don't think they can play from behind at all. I don't trust them at
Good
all.
take. Also, do you think they're not in great shape, especially the way that they're playing right now to get that 1 seed? So do you think having to go somewhere? Mahomes hasn't played a road playoff game yet. Just putting that out there. Do you think that has any implication on their playoff hopes or playoff run?
Yeah, I mean, it'll be a factor.
It obviously does. I mean, playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, they play better. They play much better in Arrowhead. But yeah. I mean, like, I just like you see how are they gonna like be able to sustain drives against good defenses in the playoffs?
Yeah,
it's so easy to even though they have Mahomes, it's so easy to just like lock up everyone outside of Mahomes. Like
do single coverage on every wide receiver and have a safety high on Kelsey, and you're fine. It's exactly what the Eagles did. Kelsey had 5 catches for 50 yards, whatever it was.
Yeah. All you have to do is really guard Kelsey, and I mean, and the run game's not.
And guard the run game. Yeah, I was gonna say that. My four of the Dolphins. I'm not worried about the offense. I know you're gonna say they barely beat the Raiders. The Raiders have been a competitive team recently. Just putting that out there. Also, no, okay.
I mean, Aiden O'Connell's their quarterback. It doesn't like
they give up.
They beat like the Giants and the Jets.
The Dolphins had 3 turnovers in their own territory, and they held them to 6 points. So that defense has just been so improving, in my opinion. I'm not worried about the offense at all. I'm not worried at all in the slightest. I have a stat with Jalen Ramsey's insane, by the way. With Jalen Ramsey, they're 20. They were without Jalen Ramsey, they were 20th in the league in yards against, and now they're 3rd with him. So it's just that defense is so improved, in my opinion, and they can win a 20-13 game and not have to score 35 a game. So it's just I've been looking for improvements on the defensive side, and I finally found it. So I'm not really worried. The offense will score when they score.
I have 2 things to say. One is a genuine question: who have they played since Ramsey? Got back. Like I'm not trying to hate. Like I actually don't know who they played besides.
They had the Chiefs, and then they had a bye. Then the Raiders, and the Giants. The Giants the week before.
Okay. So, I mean, like, I am actually very surprised at how well Ramsey has played and how much of an impact he's had because we all kind of saw last year on the Rams he didn't look as sharp as he normally is. So, I mean, great timing for the Dolphins, like getting hot at the right time, and I definitely trust their defense more now.
Who do you have at 3?
I have the Niners. They they dominated the Bucks. They Purdy, I think, had his best game of the season. Throwing some downs. I mean, him and Ayuk have
Weird.
a weirdly special connection. I was not expecting that. But I mean, he looks like a true X receiver, and I mean, with that connection and along with all their other weapons, and their offense is great. Despite Purdy not being like a top tier quarterback, and then obviously their defense is great. So I think they had a mid season like fall off, and now they're back.
Miles, you there?
Oh, no, it like froze a little bit. Sorry.
Yeah, what do you got? 3.
Yeah, I got the Ravens. I had them similar spot last week. Just they won this week, so I got to keep them there. And then I am a little bit worried though with their offense with Mark Andrews out for the year. Definitely hurts him a lot because I don't know how like reliable the
Isaiah
receivers
Likely.
are. Yeah, and like Zay Flowers and
Here
Odell.
comes the
They're
Zay Flowers
Zay
breakout.
Flowers
they're
breakout.
definitely
Michael's
good,
been
but
waiting.
I don't know if they're like that's like a Super Bowl level receiving core.
I don't think it is.
Yeah, that's why I got them at 3.
I have the Lions at 3. They're fine. They found a way to win. You have to win the dirty games when you have to. Down 2 possessions with 3 minutes left, they found a way to win. So it wasn't pretty, but a good teams find ways to win when they're not supposed to, and that's the impression I got. They're still a great team. That defense made a play when they needed to towards the end of the game. Hutch, Michael's guy, very impact play. He's a dog, but
Yeah.
the brand new Lions, as Pat McAfee likes to call them. But
What
do you got?
I want to talk about the Lions. I haven't had them in my top 5 any of the weeks because I don't trust Jared Goff. And
No.
I mean,
Shout out, Matt.
I mean, come on, we all saw how poorly he played. Like that's why I don't trust them. I just don't see him being able to beat the best teams in the playoffs. He's not a great quarterback. He's a solid quarterback. But I mean, Matt was trying to tell me that he's more trustworthy than Lamar Jackson, and then Lamar had a beautiful performance on primetime against a great Bengals defense, and then Jared Goff almost threw the game against the Bears. So I
But he
mean,
made plays when he needed to make them.
But
He put himself into that spot, and then he got him out.
the Bears they
suck.
gave the game away. They had the
Yeah, I
ball
know.
with it. They had the ball like twice with 4 minutes, and I mean,
Yeah, sure.
I mean. That's just why I don't trust them. I could see why people
It makes sense.
still have them ranked highly. They're 8-2, like they're obviously winning games.
Their schedule is easy. I wouldn't be surprised if they make a fight for that one spot, dude.
Yeah. Like I feel like they're going to be great in the regular season, and then comes playoffs, and they're going to lose. that's how I feel about it.
Who do you have it to? Ravens?
I have the Ravens. Yeah. Andrew's injury definitely hurts because it's already a team that struggles with weapons. Obviously Dobbins went down week 1 too, so they're getting thin, and this happens every year with the Ravens. They get completely injured, and I don't know, they must be cursed or something. But their defense is great. Even though Burrow went down, I mean, it looked like they were going to win that game. Like anyway, they were beating the Bengals pretty good. And here comes the Zay Flowers breakout. I mean, if he can really be a huge weapon, and Odell's looking better, then that offense is going to be fine. And obviously, I've already praised Lamar enough. I trust him to be a great quarterback.
Yeah, at 2, I got the 49ers. I mean, ever since they got all their injured players back, they've just looked amazing. Purdy is back to like that MVP level that we maybe thought he was at the beginning of the year. And I think they're like one of the top contenders for the NFC and definitely the Super Bowl, I think.
Niners too. You pretty much said it. They look great when they're fully healthy.
Yeah.
That defense looks great. Chase Young, he made a good impact play as well. But Ayuk looks great. That was a bomb to him. Won me fancy, so shout out Ayuk. Yeah, that's pretty much it. You pretty much said it. I'm assuming we all have Eagles at 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any big topics? Have we talked about them enough? I'll let Miles take it away for a little bit. Eagles guy.
All right. I mean, that should be everyone in the world's number 1. I don't know how any other team could be ahead of them right now, but I do think like that game was huge for the Eagles because, in my opinion, that is like the way they played that game was like close to their floor. And if they can like beat the Chiefs with their floor, like they can easily beat any team in the league, in my opinion.
I would say we can have a conversation. We don't have to have it, but we can have a conversation of the Chiefs beat the Chiefs and the Eagles didn't beat the Chiefs. The Chiefs might have lost that game for them. It's a conversation we can have, but it's
definitely valid. But I do think like you got to give credit to the Eagles because they're so well rounded that it's so hard to just make mistakes and still be able to beat them. I mean, and every team has their flaws. Every team makes mistakes, and it seems like every team besides the Eagles has that. Like the Eagles that's why they're 9-1. They find a way to win games, and they should be undefeated. I mean, if they just ran the ball.
Zach Wilson's the quarterback that's going to ruin their undefeated.
If they just ran the ball against the Jets instead of throwing a pass, I don't know what they were doing. All they had to do was pin Zach Wilson deep for a 90-yard drive and said they threw a pick. But, they're great and they're going to be really hard to beat come playoff time.
Yeah. Also, that game showed like they don't have to rely on AJ Brown to get 150 every game.
Crazy.
And it's like them going into like what's known to be like the hardest stadium to play in, especially in prime time against the defending Super Bowl champions. Like it's insane.
I thought Swift looked pretty good too. I'm not a big Swift guy in terms of just like as a pure running back, but he looked pretty good last night.
So we touched on Zach Wilson a little bit. He was benched, for those that don't know, in favor of – not only was he benched, he was demoted to the third string. So now it goes Tim Boyle starting Friday against my Dolphins, Black Friday. And then it's Trevor Siemian's the backup. Then Zach Wilson's QB3. I'll ask you guys one simple question. Right or wrong decision, Michael?
I mean, I think it's I don't even think there's an answer. I think it's just it doesn't matter. They're that's the worst quarterback room ever. So they're not going to win a game anyway. And Tim Boyle looked awful against the Bills when he came in. So I really just think he's sending a message to Zach, you're done. He puts so much trust in him every single week. It felt like every week there was a post game press conference. He's like, Zach's still our guy. Zach's still our guy. And then finally he's like, we have to.
And not only did he bench him, someone asked him about his future. He said that's an issue for the offseason. So he can't even guarantee that he'd be on the roster come next September. But
he's done, and
it's a crap show. Miles, right or wrong decision?
Yeah, I agree with everything Michael said. I think that was the right decision. I mean, their rosters, besides quarterback, obviously, which is one of the worst in the league, that QB room, like you said. But besides that, their roster is maybe top 5, top 10, somewhere around there. But I think they got to try everything. They got to do everything they can to maybe get a playoff team out of it. If it means benching Zach Wilson for Tim Boyle, just try everything, in my opinion. But I think they should have earlier in the season, week 2 or 3 or something. They should have gotten someone like Carson Wentz,
Josh Dobbs,
or yeah. I don't know why they didn't make a push for Josh Dobbs at the trade deadline.
They were stubborn. They were stubborn and couldn't do it to themselves. In my opinion, they needed to cover their own. You know what? But I think. Go ahead.
I think it's even worse to do that at this point of the season. You should have done it so much earlier, and you put yourself in such a bad situation. I want to ask something. The Jets are going to have a decently high draft pick, I would assume, because they're not going to win many more games. Do you think they should pick a quarterback to kind of just have 1 year under Rodgers, and then once Rodgers goes and they're set up for the future, or do you think they go O-line? Because their O-line's pretty bad. What do you think they do?
Maybe not first round. Like I said before in one of the other podcasts, there's a really deep QB class, and I think they could find the potential starter in the second round, mid-second round probably. So I think definitely look other than the quarterback in the first round, and second round I think they should take a shot on the quarterback.
For sure. I just think it sucks for Rodgers because his recovery is going to be, who knows, maybe useless. Because why put him in that spot? That O-line has been an issue ever since week 1. Now it's becoming even more of an issue. Why put Rodgers in that threat of getting hurt again when their playoffs chance? If they lose to the Dolphins, they have a 0.6 chance of making the playoffs according to ESPN.
I don't think he's going to play.
It sucks. It sucks for him.
It really
and they can't win 2 more games. They can't beat the
uh-huh.
Broncos or the Patriots. It
Yeah,
just
it really
sucks.
looked like they were going to be like decent enough to where Rodgers can come back and maybe go 3-4-0 to end the season and make a playoff push. But now
Crazy,
they're too far. I mean, and now
crazy.
that
They
they're
dug
not going to
themselves
any
into a
games with
hole.
Tim Boyle, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
another fired. Well, Wilson wasn't fired, but Matt Canada, offensive coordinator, was finally fired for the Steelers. Mike Tomlin finally pulled the trigger. We don't have to get too much in depth. Right or wrong decision, Michael?
Yeah, that's right. I mean,
Not much to say.
there's not much to say. Their offense was terrible for now like 2-3 years, and the whole fan base wanted them gone. It had to be done, and I don't know why it wasn't done earlier.
Miles, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it should
It's fine.
be unanimous.
Yeah.
But I think they were just waiting to like lose a game because they like somehow just kept on winning.
Yeah, exactly.
They
They were just waiting to lose so they
I-
can fire him.
I think this puts a little more pressure on Kenny Pickett because it's like the whole narrative was it's Matt Canada and not Kenny Pickett. So with a new offensive minded guy in there in his head, it's it becomes a Kenny Pickett show and Kenny Pickett blame.
I have a question. Do you think they keep Pickett for the next season?
Well, if he doesn't improve at all with this new offensive coordinator, you can't. He hasn't shown you a single thing, dude.
He's not good. Like he's really not
He's
good.
really not.
I don't know
It's
why they picked
crazy.
him so highly. Like I don't know. It was like I feel like it was pretty obvious he wasn't going to be that good. But.
Let's do a little new segment. Everyone give each other a hot take. We'll see what the other guys think of it, hot or not, level of the hotness. Go ahead, Miles. You start us.
All right, this is for the Bills. I got the Bills are a playoff team.
Michael.
I'm gonna agree with that. I think they really looked like they weren't gonna be, but I feel like they played great against a really good defense in terms of their offense. I don't know how good of a decision firing Dorsey was, or how much of an impact that had on the game. But I mean, just from the scoreboard and the stat sheet, it looked like it was the right decision. That was one of their best offensive performances, and I think they're going to be able to be competitive down the stretch and maybe steal a wild card spot.
Miles, what do you think on that? You think they are?
Well, yeah, I definitely do. I think. I mean, I don't know how the Ken Dorsey firing will look in like a couple weeks, maybe, but just after 1 week, it's looking like a great decision. Like 30 plus points against the Jets defenses.
No, you're right.
That's very impressive, especially like in the previous weeks. They like were struggling against the Patriots, and like I don't even know who they played other than that, but like they were
Broncos.
just overall, yeah, like overall the whole team was just struggling. So after a week, I do think the firing is looking pretty good.
I know they had a great performance. Scoreboard was very one-sided, but I just can't say that they're a playoff team right now. It's the Jets. I mean, if they played a better team, I'm all in. But I also don't know if the AFC looks great this year. They do. It does. I mean, every division has one team that can make a run, maybe even two, maybe even three. So it's just not only are they on the back half, in my opinion, but I just think the AFC's too. It's very crowded in that middle area, if you know what I'm trying to say. So,
yeah,
Michael, what's your hot take?
My hot take is that Dak Prescott is the MVP. I mean it's a hot take, so like I'm not sure if I necessarily believe it, but like he has to be pretty close. And just people don't want to admit it as much because of his history and interceptions. But I mean this season without Kellen Moore, he's looked like a new player, and he's arguably been the best quarterback for the last month of football in the league. He has 19 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Like the offense seems to put up 30 a week when against bad defenses, so they're doing their job. And he has good numbers. He's on a good offense, and he's on a good team. So he has all the criteria.
No, you saw my initial reaction. I thought you were wild, but the more I thought, yeah, I mean, you said conversation. If you said favorite, I'm calling you crazy, but
I would say he's like top 5.
No, I could definitely put him in that top 5 or 6 range. I completely agree. He's using his legs, which has been a good weapon for him. He's getting 40 yards a game on the ground. So, what do you think, Miles?
Yeah, I was kind of the same as you. I was like, my initial reaction was like, definitely not. But yeah, MVP conversation, I do think he should be in it, but MVP, I just don't think he'll win it.
Yeah.
But that's not like to take like
Dig
a hit
against
on
him. Yeah.
not like against Dak or anything. Like this is arguably
There's
like his
better
best.
candidates.
This is
Yeah.
arguably like his best season yet, and I think he's just been playing really well, and they're a top team. So if they could continue to be a top team, and he keeps playing well, then I won't be surprised. But it's mostly just because of the other candidates and like
Yeah,
how
for
good they're
sure.
playing.
Yeah.
My hot take is a team that's on the rise. I think what do you say if I said the Broncos can make not only make the playoffs but make a run?
I wouldn't say they're going to make a run. I think they could make the playoffs.
Let me clarify. Run, I would say win a game or two
In the playoffs, you're
in
saying?
the playoffs.
I don't think so. I don't really see it happen. I mean, their defense is playing much better than it was in the beginning of the season. I mean, they're up 70 against the Dolphins, so it's not much hard to go up from there. But it's still not great. And like their pass rush, they don't really have that much juice. And on offense, like I feel like a lot of their points come from lucky turnovers, and they end up settling for field goals anyway. I mean, we saw it
5 field goals on Sunday night.
Yeah, I mean, it keeps happening. Sutton actually looks great, and Russ
great.
Wilson looks better. But I'm just not sure they could beat the best teams in the AFC.
Talk to Mouse.
Yeah, I do think that I agree they can make the playoffs. I don't think they win a game. Kind of like you said earlier, like the AFC is looking really good this year. I just don't think they could get a game off of any of those teams. But Russell Wilson's been looking really good recently. Their team overall has been really good recently. So I wouldn't be surprised if they could put a few more games together and make the playoffs.
The only reason that I would say that is because of the coach and the QB. Ross is starting to look like Rush more and more each week, and Sean Payton's won a Super Bowl. You have a quarterback that's won a Super Bowl and a coach that won a Super Bowl. It's a good combination to have walking into the playoffs. So that's the only thing that can make me think that they can win a game and make the playoffs. So yeah, but let's go back to Week 11. Dog of the week, Michael. Who do you got?
Yeah, so I talked about him a little bit in my power rankings, but I have Brock Purdy for his performance against the Buccaneers. 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. He looked great. I'm worried. Like I'm always worried that he's just a merchant of the weapons around him. But he had some dots to Ayuk that I'm like. It's just high. It was high level quarterback play, and it's rare that you see that from him. So I'm impressed, and hopefully there's more to come for the Niners.
All right. I kind of just chose this on the spot. I didn't know we were doing this, but it is a good one. Like it's probably who I would have chosen if I didn't know about it. It's more of like a season dog, but like what?
Just say it.
Just say it.
DaRon Bland.
Okay.
Like
That's
it's not
bad.
more of like of the week, but like just like what he did this week.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Add on to his total.
Season.
Yeah, that's good. I like it.
Yeah.
Not bad. You got me a
Same
little
here.
scared there. I
And
mentioned
how
him earlier.
even for replacing Diggs. I mean, nobody really expected this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's been
Diggs. I
unbelievable.
mean, yeah. I mentioned him a little earlier, but go ahead.
I have a question just before you say it. Do you think there's any chance he wins Defensive Player of the Year?
Nah.
I mean, like
Those 3 D linemen are just so good, and Crosby, Watt, and Garrett. I just think they've pulled themselves away from the rest of the pack.
yeah, and it's so much easier.
They're just all game wreckers.
Yeah, like Bland's not gonna be able to consistently like get the. I mean, unless he's like 5 more than
Never.
but that's not gonna happen.
No.
Oh, okay. So my dog, we got touched on him earlier. Jalen Ramsey, 2 picks, his 3rd pick in 3 games. I don't know what this means for the Dolphins the rest of the season defensive game plan. I mean, if they can keep holding, I mean, the Raiders aren't a great offense. Aiden O'Connell. If they can keep holding teams to less than 20 points, I don't really know if a team can beat them frequently. And also, whatever this means for you guys, PF Pro Football,
Focus.
I don't know, whatever. Yeah. He's averaging he has a 0.00 passer rating when targeted.
Wow.
So it's pretty crazy. He looks great.
Oh, yep.
Let's go a little into Week 12. Three Thanksgiving games on Thursday, and then a small slate on Sunday. Fancy Player of the Week, Week 12. Michael, who do you got?
Yeah, I've picked a receiver against Washington before, so I'm going to go CD Lamb against Washington. It's an easy pick because their cornerback room is really bad, and CD Lamb has looked like he's really made that jump into an elite receiver. So I expect a big day from him.
Yeah, I got Derrick Henry. I know he's had a pretty disappointing year and two below 10-point games in a row, past two games, but they play they play the Panthers, who has
Good game.
the 31st. They're the second worst run defense fantasy wise, and just overall as a team and a defense, they're pretty bad. He's projected 15, and I think he'll definitely beat that.
I have David Montgomery against the Packers. Last time he played, 35 points, 3 tutties last time, 121 yards. They're going to be winning. They're going to keep the Packers' run defense. Michael, you know that it's awful.
It's so bad. I really
I just,
I hope they
yeah,
fire their defensive coordinator now because I feel like it's not talked about as much as Matt Canada, but the Packers fans have been preaching for them to fire the defensive coordinator as long as the Steelers fans have been preaching for Canada to be fired. So I hope that comes soon, but I don't know. I mean, it's brutal.
I just think the Lions are going to be winning. So good game script. I said about Gibbs last week. He had a great game. Uh, PPR wise, I mean, who would have known that they would have been down against the Bears? But he's shown it great ways. Monty showed it great ways. So that great deal they got in Detroit. Week 12. Let's look at 4 games, 4 decent games. Thursday night, Thanksgiving finale. Niners head to Seattle, take on the possibly Geno-less Seahawks. Who knows? Who do you guys got?
You go,
All right, you go.
Miles.
All right, I got the 49ers. Like I said earlier, they're the
Yeah.
players back from injury is just so helpful, and the Seahawks haven't looked particularly good recently. But yeah, I think the 49ers handle that pretty easily.
Yeah, I'm also going to go with the Niners. The Seahawks, the Rams own the Seahawks, so I think that's part of the reason that they look so bad. I don't think they're as bad, but yeah, they really haven't been great lately, and the Seahawks schedule ahead is brutal, so that was a rough game to drop. So yeah, I think they drop
Yeah.
another one against one of the best teams in the league.
Niners as well. Sweep there, but Kenneth Walker's out. Geno Smith may be out. I just don't see them beating the Niners. Niners look great. They're fully healthy. Great team there. A game that we might not have thought would have been as impactful earlier in the year. The Jags head to the Texans. 7-3 versus 6-4. Big game for the AFC South. Michael, who do you got?
Yeah, this is a huge game. I'm excited for it, and I'm going to go with the Texans at home. The Jags have looked great, but I just think this is a perfect time for CJ Stroud
CJ.
to solidify himself as. I mean, everyone knows he's great, but this could beating a divisional opponent in a huge game for the division could be big for his MVP conversations.
So good.
I think he's going to have a great day, and they're going to win.
Yeah, I got the Texans. CJ Stroud, like you said, has been playing amazing, like an MVP level. And Jags, they've been pretty inconsistent, I would say, this season. So yeah, I think the Texans win it, and yeah, that's all I got.
Texans as well. It's pretty crazy that we're talking week 12 Texans. We have a sweep with the Texans
Yeah.
over the Jags. I mean,
Okay.
it's crazy. This is gonna be if the Texans win it, the AFC South is anybody's division. But CJ Stroud, great. Tank Dell, great. You pretty much touched on it. You stole out of my mouth. They're just too inconsistent. The Jags, that is.
Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, it'll be a great game. Very impactful game. Bills head to Philly, take on Miles' Eagles. Miles, who do you got? I'm assuming Eagles.
Yeah, obviously the
Fly,
Eagles,
Eagles, fly.
especially at the link, but I do think this will be a closer game than people expect. The Bills really rely on their pass offense, and especially with this new coordinator, I think, and like how well they did last week, I do think that this will be more of a higher scoring game, and I do think the Bills make it a close game, and it'll be closer than people think.
I actually circled the Bills on my sheet, but I'm going to pick the Eagles. I changed my mind. I think the Eagles are too consistent of a team. I mentioned this earlier. Too consistent and well-rounded of a team to for the
100%.
Bills to beat with all their inconsistencies and turnovers. It's going to be hard to yeah, it's just going to be hard to beat them if they keep making those mistakes. But if they stay away from the mistakes, then I do think the Eagles could be on upset watch.
If Josh Allen holds onto the ball, I think the Bills have a chance, but I think that Eagles D line's too good. Give me the Eagles. Who knows? Sean Desai's been great. I mean, the big questions going into the year with the Eagles have been the two coordinators leaving for head coaching jobs, and that those questions have been squashed completely.
Not. I wouldn't say completely.
Really?
Yeah.
What's?
I mean,
Really?
it's not much of a hot take among the Eagles media fans and on Twitter. Sean Desai obviously amazing. Like he's taking
More
like
talent than
our
play
back
calling?
seven. We have a different back seven every game,
Yeah.
and he just keeps on winning. But Brian Johnson, he's been the beginning of the season. He looked pretty bad. He just like didn't really know how to use Hurts that well. Like he kept doing QB draws, which I and he did it last week too for some reason. I don't know why. I mean, it worked once, but they usually don't work at all. And yeah, he's just really inconsistent. And like I don't like some of his decisions.
And
Yeah,
Steichen's great too. So like we could see that on the Colts.
yeah.
There.
Steichen was amazing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, last game of the week that's decent in my eyes, in our eyes. We got Ravens at the Chargers. I mean, who knows with the Chargers? They could put up some points. I think Miles is. Oh no, he's not. He's there. He was frozen on my screen. What do you got, Michael?
I'm gonna pick the Ravens. I just don't see. I mean, the Packers beat the Chargers, so like, it hurts me to say that the Packers aren't a good football team. And the Ravens have one of the best runs.
Jordan loves the future.
Yeah, Jordan.
MVP.
But back to the Ravens. Their run game's great, and because of obviously Lamar and their O line, and the Chargers defense is just horrible. So I think they're gonna run all over him. Lamar's gonna have a huge day. I think Zay Flowers will have a big day as well. And it's just tough for the Chargers because their strengths on offense and the Ravens have a great defense. So it's gonna be hard for them to.
100%. Yeah.
Miles.
Same thing. Chargers they're just not a good team at all. Like losing to the Packers is it's a pretty bad look, and I think the Ravens beat them pretty easily, and they run all over them. The Chargers defense is pretty bad. But I also have a question. Do you think Staley should be gone?
Absolutely.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, like, what has he shown that's keeping him there? And the way he went after the media, so funny, dude.
He knows
he's just he's a little baby. I mean, it's a ticking bomb.
I said before the week, if the Packers win, I think they're gonna fire him. I'm surprised he's still.
I don't know what's letting him keep his job.
I don't know either.
He's shown nothing. He's a defensive mind, and that defense blows.
I feel so bad for Herbert. He's in such a bad situation.
Yeah. I know. It's a little scary that we have 4 straight sweeps. I have the Ravens as well. It'll definitely be interesting to see what that offense looks like without Mark Andrews, but who knows? I think they'll have to rely on that run game heavy. Odell looks pretty decent recently. A couple 100-yard games, couple tutties, but week 12, pretty good slate. Thanksgiving, 3 great games, best holiday for football. So enjoy Thanksgiving, enjoy football, friends, family, and we'll see you guys next time.